Hey everybody, Professor Snart checking in. Okay, so I have had the opportunity to meet or correspond with everybody in Unit 4 here, devoted entirely just to connecting with people to talk about the fine print that they found for Unit 3 and that you've been thinking a little bit about, but then how we move the ball from here to Units 5 and 6, where we are crafting some professional emails or correspondence, going through a feedback stage, and then actually sending that out in Unit 6. So we're kind of done with that transitional phase, and now we want to move into Unit 5. So I'm just going to walk us through 5 and 6 really quickly here. Okay, so I am asking that everybody create an individual Google Doc for themselves. Again, sort of explained here and a little bit lower, the document creation and sharing process. Relatively straightforward, but if you've never done it before, there are a couple things that you want to just pay attention to. Okay, so what are you doing in your document? So for Unit 5 here, it's really just sort of a brainstorming place. So in addition to actually starting or beginning to draft the professional email or emails that you're going to create and ultimately send in Unit 6, you're also kind of filling in the background about your initial fine print that you found, and then also what your strategy is for who you're going to reach out to, kind of what you want to know about and all that sort of stuff. So even though the email itself might be relatively short at the end of the day, because we want it to be fairly pointed and direct, this document is going to have a lot more going on in it. So again, the draft of the email and this document here is due, that primary due date for Unit 5. We'll take a look at that in just a second. The email that you craft, or multiple emails, again, depending on exactly how you're going about this, should, in most cases, have a clear, like a sort of an introduction here. Obviously, you want to include an effective subject line, so not too vague or open-ended, but still short and to the point. An effective salutation, dear Mr. So-and-so, dear Mrs. So-and-so, whatever the case might be. Your email body should explain, obviously, like what the premise of your correspondence is, but you don't want to get so wrapped up and mired in those details that the person just kind of runs out of attention. And obviously, we want to be really pointed about what we'll call the action item. So what are the particular questions that you would like answered or further information? It can't be so big in general that the person would have to write a book. It can't be so many questions that, again, it's just going to be overwhelming to whoever receives this. Even if it's their job as a customer service person, perhaps, we want to give ourselves the best chance of getting a response by crafting a really good email. So it's not a long writing assignment, but it's actually quite challenging because of what we're trying to accomplish here. Notice again, I'm looking for some background here about like the context of where we're going and what your strategy is. So don't just draft the email. But that's pretty much all you're doing for this unit. There's no response component just yet. That'll show up over here. Whoops, and you can see off the screen is the Unit 6. The note that reprise happened in Unit 6. So the document that you create here, all you're doing is posting the URL, that sharing URL, to our discussion board. Okay, so a quick look at due dates, and then I'll look at Unit 6. So we've just finished up this piece. We're now looking at Tuesday, November 14th for putting our draft document together. And then for Unit 16, notice our usual double due date system. We have Thanksgiving that we come back from, and then a couple of units to wrap up our course. But we really finish the professional email assignment, kind of the heart of our course, through Units 5 and 6 here. So let's pop into Unit 6 and see what's going on. Okay, so once again, this is an opportunity to get some feedback. I built this discussion board it'll have all of the groups of people. You'll find yourself in a group. Find my way back to the units here. Notice it's the same discussion board here, so you don't necessarily need to repost that document link. Even if you post it when you first create it just as a blank document and then you populate it, the link will always take us to the most recent version of that document. It's not like you have to repost and repost every time you do a revision or an update or you add something to it. Okay, so Unit 6 then is the reason that it's set up as groups here, because each group member is providing feedback to primarily the professional email or multiple emails. Some people are writing more than just the one within that Google Docs setup. And you'll see that there's a little explanation about how to do that within Google Docs. Just highlight some text, and then it'll give you the comment option or feature here, and you'll type some feedback for the person. And again, this is sort of explained in the unit, so I won't spend too much time doing it here. Right? So the feedback is due by the first due date in Unit 6. There's quite a bit of points attached to it, given the 1,000 points in our course. So it can't just be a couple of comments that say, this looks good, okay, good, yes, whatever. There has to be more investment. Even if you think that the strategy or the material that the person is initially produced is effective, you want to really explain like why that is, what looks good about it. Is it likely to elicit the response that the person might have indicated they were looking for in that contextual piece that they've written, sort of the non-email part. So you really need to dig in there, almost as if this were a full-blown essay kind of assignment. There's a lot of points attached to it, so there really needs to be that investment of time and energy. Okay, so once you've done this part of it, again, the feedback is due by that first due date in Unit 6. Then we want to move on, like it says here, to Step 2. Set up as a different discussion board here, no longer in groups because everybody is doing this individually, and then the assignment is explained here. Here, obviously, you want to take the text of your professional email that you've maybe revised based on feedback that you received here, right? And any questions you might have for me, follow up, whatever, right? New revisions that you might have made. Take that text and using whatever email system you normally use outside of our course and all that kind of stuff is actually send that email. There's been a couple of people I've talked to who aren't using email exactly. They're using more of a customer service like interface through a website. Same deal. You're still just cutting and pasting that text. You want to then, let's see, post to this Unit 6 discussion board here with the URL to the document. Again, even though you posted it before, it's just a nice collection place for me. And then whatever kind of evidence that you can document or provide to show that you actually sent it. Maybe it's a screenshot. That's actually probably the best, honestly. But whatever it happens to be. So the grading here is actually grading the professional email, the official one or multiple ones that you send out, but also part of it is providing the proof that you in fact sent it. So there's no reply component here to this discussion board since everyone is here just sending their email out. Okay, so Units 5 and 6 obviously work together, and it's really important that people post on time and pay attention to those due dates so that you're actually getting some feedback on the email that you draft in Unit 5 and that you want to clean up for Unit 6 so you can actually send it. Again, all of this stuff worth points. This is exactly how you're getting a grade in the course, so it's not like optional or stuff that you can do late and hopefully it still kind of works out. And again, if Unit 4 went well, we had a discussion already about the fine print, about your strategy for moving forward, and also about our forthcoming due dates, kind of how the whole bundle of units works together. So obviously, if you still have questions or concerns, or if you run into a bit of a roadblock that you hadn't foreseen, you can be in touch with me. But again, really important, especially working in that group dynamic, that you are paying attention to due dates, kind of holding up your end of the peer feedback bargain. All right, so be in touch if anything is unclear, and I'll check in with everybody in a few days.